Just before we start, right, I wanted to get like a quick overview of who's in the room, right? Like everybody in the room, founders, who are founders in the room? Put your hands up. Got it? How many of you have paying customers? All right, that's actually solid. I don't know, like, you guys don't need this at this point. So I'll give you a quick intro about us and just me and what we do at Spendflo. And I'll tell you why they made me speak about this specifically, and I'll tell you all the mistakes we made. We covered 10, but we probably made hundreds along the way, right? First time founders, so you can imagine we made every mistake in the book, right? Whatever you can think of, we've done it. But the one good thing is we did it very rapidly, right? That's the one advantage that we had. We made these mistakes very, very quickly, right? So I'll actually, when Priyank actually asked for like, okay, great, just do the talk on how to get your first 10 customers. I said, let's do it on what not to do to get your first 10 customers, right? Like, and just learn through that exercise. So quick background, I'm Sid, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Spendflo. We started Spendflo about 2.5, 3 years ago now. Prior to starting Spendflo, I used to run BizOps for a bunch of high growth startups. And it was during my time there that my CFO and I never got along because I spent too much money on SaaS. So she used to walk up to me every quarter and say, Sid, I think you're spending too much money on software, so go figure out what it is and go cut it by half, right? That was when the idea struck. I actually moved back to India in 2020, started the company in 2021. But the journey was like, and this quick background on what we do as well. Spendflo is a SaaS spend management solution, right? So we help companies buy, manage, and optimize all their SaaS spend, and we do that with guaranteed savings. And the reason why we do it with guaranteed savings is that it's budget neutral. Because right now, getting budget anywhere is a challenge. So we had to get creative over there. But again, I'll walk you through all the mistakes that we made, but just a quick, our journey, right? We started in January of 2021. We got our first customer in February of 2021. I also got married in February of 2021. We got our second customer in March of 2021. And my co-founder and CTO, Ajay, got married in March of 2021, right? So the advantage that we had was my ex-employer was our first customer, right? And I was the ICP, right? Like I was the ideal customer profile. The best advantage that you have is if you've been in the customer's shoes, you can empathize, right? And I'll talk about that as well soon. So we started then. We were actually part of the first Accel Atoms cohort in November of 2021. We joined. We got our first 10 customers in February of 2022. Right? It took us a year to get our first 10 customers. So we didn't think it will take that long. Honestly, we thought 3 months, we'll get our first 10. We had goals. We had everything in line. But we didn't have a lot of product. We essentially just sold a lot in the initial days. But we had to figure all of that out as we went, right? And lean team, we were bootstrapped initially. And once we raised capital, it helped a lot. But, and we got to our first million in ARR in December of that year. But like that's because of getting a bunch of things wrong and a bunch of things right along the way, which we'll talk through, right? So the first piece, right, that I want to really talk about is this is a mistake we made, right? You have to continuously refine your ICP. And ICP, ideal customer profile. So our example, right, we wanted to sell to finance teams at high growth companies. That was very vague. Then we went to director of finance at high growth companies. Then we went to 100 plus employees, director of finance at high growth companies. Then we went 100 plus employees, 250K in SaaS spend, high growth companies, 100 plus tools. Then we said 500K plus in SaaS spend, has to be 150 plus in employee size, has to have this stack, has to be in this particular, like the finance team has to have this particular stack inside that environment. So we kept refining it over and over again, but we do it really, we only started consciously doing it later. Right? We didn't do it in our first like year or so. We didn't do it as much because the feedback is right in your face. Right? Like you have your first couple of customers that you're talking to, and if you're not able to see some homogeneous nature in your first 10 customers, then you have no way to get something repeatable. Right? The goal is not just to get your first 10 customers, but to go find something that's repeatable for you to get your next 100, right? So this process that you're going to go through and what I'm going to actually walk through is to find something repeatable for you, right? Because if it's repeatable, then life is a little bit easier down the lane. And I'll tell you how it actually life becomes easier as well. The second piece is, this is something that we did a fairly good job of, which is you need to be an expert in what you're selling, right? You can't pretend to be one either. Or you need to get someone who's an expert. You need a co-founder who's an expert. You need like an early team member who's an expert. The reason is customers will sniff you out. They get a ton of emails every day. They get a ton of LinkedIn inbound every day. If you're not the expert, they're not going to reply to your LinkedIns. They're not going to reply to your emails. They're not going to converse with you. And why this matters is once you get into the sales cycle, right, they're actually not buying a product. The truth is they're actually buying you, right? That's the most important piece. They're actually never buying the product because you don't have a product at that point. It's honestly just like you think you have a product, but it's not. It's going to go change rapidly, right? So that's one of the major pieces. They're actually buying your expertise. And if you don't have that expertise, go figure out how to actually become that expert. Or figure out if your co-founder is an expert. Like someone, right? But don't pretend. Like if that customer that you lose, and if you pretend over there, they'll honestly know. Right? And they all talk to each other. That's another thing you need to realize. Customers buy in like groups or like communities, they all talk to each other a lot. The third piece is actually on right, we're an outbound engine. We're not blessed with an inbound engine, right? So the reason for that is, hey, nobody's trying to like go search for better ways to buy SaaS, right? Like there's no inbound intent for the category that we play around with. So the sooner you realize what type of engine you're running, or who your ICP is, what your actual ACVs are, the sooner you can actually iterate on this. So for us, as soon as we found out that we're going to be sales-driven as an engine, and it's going to be founder-led sales, right, in the initial days, not all of us are professionally trained in sales. I wasn't either, right? I did all kinds of things before, but not sales. So getting professional, like training yourself to be good in the sales process, what's the positioning look like? What's like a good agenda email look like? What's a good meeting notes look like? All of this is very important. How do you set up reminders? How do you actually, what are the 10 steps for an outbound email that you need to write? How do you write a good email is another very good example, right? So just training yourself, like my recommendations are these 2 books, right? Like I live and die by them even today, right? So Mom Test in the early days, Founding Sales, to be honest, Founding Sales should get you to your first 10 million, 20 million in ARR. It's literally the book that you need to go through for this, right? Like it's the Bible in my view for this. It's a guy called Pete Kaczynski, brilliant. It's an online PDF, it's free. It's like the best education you can pay for. Right? And sales, honestly, is the easiest job you can learn as a founder. It's honestly the easiest, so you better learn to be good at it, right? The other piece is just demand gen experiments, right? Like, as soon as you get your first customer, your second customer, your third customer, and your fourth, the problem is you're going and servicing the customer, you're building product, you're doing all kinds of things, right? But you're not investing enough in acquiring more customers. You're not spending a lot of time doing that. So once you know who your ICP is, you better figure out write content for them if it's inbound, right? Do your SEO. Like after this, Raghu will give you the inbound playbook, right? And like before this, there was an amazing outbound playbook as well. Hire that SDR. Hire that BDR. Like get a team with you. One of the best things that we did was hire 4 SDRs as our, our 4th, 5th, and 6th hire were SDRs. And it still wasn't enough. Because in an outbound engine, you have to, if you are an outbound engine, the challenge is that you're selling larger ACV deals, typically, right? And if you're not upfronting your cost, you're going to slow down in the 3rd quarter. So your momentum drops. When momentum is what kills startups. Like drop in momentum is what kills it, right? Morale will drop. You'll be like, why am I not able to sell today? You'll be like, am I selling the right idea or not? You start getting into your head, which you should never do. So make sure you're running these experiments, right? Feed that funnel. This is something my co-founder Rajiv lives by. Momentum is all that matters in the initial days, right? It's all that matters in a startup by far. Right? And so, okay, this is another piece, right? Like, in the early days, it's just a bunch of you folks, like sitting in your homes or sitting in some co-working space, right? The one thing that most people mess up, and this is something that we messed up in the initial days, is not investing in a good website. Most early stage websites look like shit. Like your LinkedIns look like shit. Honestly, just go look at your LinkedIns. If your LinkedIn's like, you're not proud of it, you should not be selling. Like you should not do anything before getting your LinkedIn to be right. You should not be doing anything before getting your website right. Imagine you're selling in a competitive environment. There is some other guy with a much better LinkedIn, much better looking profile, much better email signature, Zoom background, all the basic things that you need to get right in order to run a sales process, in order to look professional, in order for the buyer to trust that this person will be able to do what they say they will do. You better invest, right? Like we failed at this initially, but now we get like professional photos for everybody. Their LinkedIn has to get done. The LinkedIn background needs to get done. The LinkedIn write-up has to get sorted. We have templates for everything. But we had to get that right. Because when a buyer is buying, especially in the initial days, they're buying for you, right? And they're buying for the team that you're actually part of. They're almost like an early stage. They're like a seed investor, right? At that point, they're investing in you. So if you don't come off presentable, this is the worst way to lose a deal. Right? We lost the deal because of that, and it hurt me so much. Like I swear to God, I'm never losing a deal because of that, right? So it works, right? Like we get into deals today that we're not even supposed to be part of, right? Like people think we're like a 500% organization for some reason. It's because of something that we do on our LinkedIn. Like it's something that we do it's free, guys. Like nobody's stopping you from posting unnecessary stuff on LinkedIn. It's honestly unnecessary, but honestly it makes you look and feel bigger. Go take photos of yourself in San Francisco or New York. It doesn't really matter, right? Change your LinkedIn locations to wherever you want your buyers to think you're there. Do all of this stuff, because if you don't, you will get, no buyer is going to come and tell you because your LinkedIn looks bad and your background image looks bad, you're going to lose a deal. But in your heart of hearts, you actually know, right? Like right now, just leave this room and go do this and I'll be fine. The other piece is, this is another really, this is something personal, right? Like in the early days, it's really hard to create momentum and motivate your team, right? It's also really hard to motivate yourself, right? You have a lot of okay, you're the startup founder, okay, you have to motivate yourself, you have to motivate some team members, you have to motivate your co-founder. But revenue can't be the goal, right? You don't even know what you're selling, right? Product building, you shouldn't be doing product building, first of all, before you have customers. That's another thing, right? So you can't be doing that either. So what do you actually set as a goal for the company? In the early days, you have nothing, right? What do you actually set? So one thing, a hack that we found out was weekly demo meetings set with our customers. The entire company had a weekly quota to hit for customer meetings that we set. If we didn't hit that quota, or we hit that quota, everything was just that. We didn't care about anything else. 6 months we ran this, our emails got so much better. Our outbound engine got better. Our pipeline got better. Just how we operated got better now, right? Everything that we thought about was how do we hit that meeting goal. What that meeting goal led to was prospects, better product feedback, iterations on outbound, iterations on marketing, iterations on positioning, what is working, what is not working. We spoke to we spoke to the chief procurement officer at Dell from one of these conversations. We had no right to be in that conversation, right? We're selling in the mid-market square. It makes no sense for that guy to come on a call with us, right? But one of our SDRs did a fantastic job crafting an email, right? Other tidbit, you have to have a lot of if Siddharth at Spendflo, there are literally 10 Siddharth at Spendflo email IDs out there in the thing. Everybody is using them. Nobody else is going to reply, like, no, they're not going to reply to an SDR because the SDR's LinkedIn is not going to look like your LinkedIn. Right? Like, so that's another piece you need to get right in your outbound engine as well, right? This is another one, right? Like, I think we did a really fantastic job here. We made all our early adopters our best friends. We went out for dinner, we got drinks, we went to conferences together, didn't matter, right? And what that allowed us to do was, one, get iterative feedback, great, but it got our next 10 customers. They spoke about what we did. That virality loop of word of mouth really helped. Guys, like, and I know it's really, I suffer from this even today. It's really hard to get into the plane, go meet this customer. They might be in Bilaspur for all you know, but go do it. They might be in the middle of nowhere in Kansas City. Go do it. Just get on a plane, like, and go meet them, have a drink with them. And like, honest to God, like, those relationships last for lifetimes, right? Because they made a bet on you, right? Like, and because they made that bet on you, you better treat them better than you treat your investors as well, right? So this is another thing, right? Like, this is like a little bit controversial, right? Where you have a network, you need to sell into your network. But if you get all your first 10 customers from your network, the problem you'll have is you have to go through the first 10 journey again in the next 20 customers. You have to repeat it. So the problem is, when you're going repeating it, you're going to spend a year acquiring your first 10 customers in your network. Then you have to spend another year acquiring first 10 customers with who's not in your network. So you might as well not make that mistake, right? Like, the key over here is, if you sell to only people you know, you'll have no idea who your ICP is. You'll have no idea whether they're buying you for your product or a problem that you're actually solving, or if they're doing you a favor, right? So then what happens is, you can get to $1 million, but there is absolutely no way you'll get to like even 5 or 10. It'll just fall off a cliff. So imagine you might have fake product market fit, which is even worse than like not having product market fit. Because now you burn through teams and money, right, at that point. So this is something that you should definitely avoid. The other piece is like, this is something personal, right? Like, I'll tell you my example. When we first started selling outbound engine, right, all we needed to do was send emails. So we can send email anywhere in the world, right? Nobody's stopping us. So we send emails all everywhere in the world. We sold to customers in Indonesia, we sold to customers in Australia, we sold to customers in Sweden, in like Berlin, we sold to customers in like North America, Canada, Latin America, it didn't matter. Then like my gut was like, I'm doing something wrong, right? But I didn't know what it was, right? My gut was just telling me, you are definitely doing something wrong. And the lesson was, we were doing something wrong. We didn't see like the integrations that are there in every region. What's the language barriers, right? We didn't see product market fit is not the same in North America as it is in APAC, as it is in Europe, as it is in Latin America. It's not the same, at least for our product. So we made a mistake. It actually, in my view, it put us back by 6 months. It's 6 expensive months when your company is only 2.5 years old. Right? So this is a mistake that I made, like, and the lesson is, right, like, you trust your gut, like, just trust it, because honest to God, you won't have all that data. You're not going to either. You can look at all the spreadsheets, you can look at all the Salesforce reports, nothing is going to make sense to you, right? And at the end of the day, your gut is what is going to make the call. And if you fail, it's okay, it's a great lesson that you've learned, right? But if you don't trust your gut, and you make that, and you still, and you end up doing something else, right, altogether, you'll really regret that decision, right, after that. And regret honestly kills morale. Regret kills morale, regret kills momentum. In an early stage startup, all you have, again, like I said, momentum. Right? It's super key. The last point, right, this is actually super personal. This is like honestly, it felt like a hack for me, right, was, I actually had a group of fellow entrepreneurs who I could always bank on, right? Like I had a couple of my friends who were like one stage or two stages ahead of me. I had a couple of my friends who were a couple of stages behind, and like different types, like mostly all B2B SaaS founders. So that's another thing where it helped. But you need to realize that your family, your spouse, nobody is going to understand this. Right? They will all listen, right? They might all sympathize, but they will never be able to empathize, right? The only other person you can actually talk about this to is another entrepreneur, right? Like, and it helps because, I'll tell you why, right? Because the basis of it is that you're like, you know, you think you found a customer that you think is going to sign, right? You're like, I'm damn happy today. Next day, he doesn't sign. You're going to crash. Imagine that like roller coaster that happens every single day. Nobody else can relate to it. So just having like a group of people who you can talk to about this is really helpful. And the reason why this is helpful, right? You can't talk to this with your co-founders either. You can't talk about this to your early team members. You can't talk about this to any of these people, right? And actually the core reason why this is important is that it maintains your relationship with your co-founders, right? Honestly, like your relationship with your co-founders is dependent on your relationship with your other founder friends. If you're able to talk to them, your relationship with your co-founders is fine. Because at least you have something to vent out, right? To some outlet. Your early team members are fine. And honestly, the only reason you're doing all this, and we made a ton of mistakes, right? I just want to quickly summarize. We made like so many mistakes. But one of the biggest lessons was we did it with style. That's something that we think, right? We honestly did it in style. Because the reason was that we were together. It was my co-founders Rajiv and Ajay. Without them, we wouldn't be here. And our early team members, right? And even till today, we're learning a lot. But we're doing it together. And in this 1 to 10 journey is when the highest propensity to lose your co-founders. It's the highest propensity to lose your early team members. So honestly, do this, and you'll keep them around. Because otherwise, you're really annoying people, man. Founders are really annoying. Like you will piss off people, right? So it's get that support group for yourself, right? So I just want to quickly summarize for that, right? These are like the 10 points that I think are super relevant for things not to do. Right? I'm open to questions and taking anything, but I'll leave you guys with this. Okay. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
Hello, thanks a lot for this great session. My name is Navita, and I wanted to know, have you decided any timeline when you said, okay, this is the deadline, by that time I need 10 customers or else we'll take a call?
Like I said, I didn't think it'll take a year. I thought it'll take 3 months. Like in honesty, right? But I kept, what we learned is setting an artificial timeline, when we got our first couple of customers, right? We were thinking, okay, we got to get to 10, we got to get to this, we set arbitrary numbers of ARR, we set arbitrary numbers of number of customers. But then we started learning a lot from them. Even our first 4, 5, 6 customers, because what we've built hasn't been necessarily built before in the fashion that we're doing it. So that learning was something that was immense. So when we saw that, and obviously kudos to Dinesh, who's our investor from Accel, he told us this. He's like, don't set arbitrary goals, man. He said, optimize for learning from them, and they almost become your design partners, right? So that learning was truly incredible. So we didn't set artificial numbers for first 10 customers, but we did have a revenue target of 100K, as quickly as we can, right? And then we are now we have monthly, quarterly, whatever, thing. But for your first 10, I would obviously optimize for learning. Even if you get one customer and that person's really flooding you with knowledge, it's better than having 10 customers who are not flooding you with knowledge, right? Or you're not learning from them.
So basically, I wanted to know when to stop. So I think this is one mistake which many founders
I've seen it. Yeah, trust your gut. Your gut is probably right? Your gut is probably right 4 months before it actually happens. Right? Like 3 months, 4 months before you know, boss, this is not going to work, but you're just doing it because of ego at some scale. And your ego trumps your gut sometimes, so just honestly, just trust your gut on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give an example of your typical weekly meeting where you review this metric and then what happens. Because it's so easy to just look at that number and say, okay, we had 4 demos, it was 6, it's going down, now what? If you could detail that out, that would be great.
Yeah, great question, right? Like, so we had a funnel built very quickly. See, that's why I said like you need to learn how to do sales. So we had like an entire funnel built. We had our opportunity to close the entire funnel thing. We had our lead SQLs, MQL, like all of that built out actually. And founding sales will tell you that as well, right? So when we started reviewing metrics, we're even today we're reviewing metrics what we were reviewing at like that stage as well. So we used to get into a meeting, 4 SDRs and me. It's not like we had like anybody else, right? I used to literally I used to be part of the calls. So if I messed up, it was me at that point. But what we started doing was, we started looking at leading indicators. So number of emails sent out, number of LinkedIn messages sent out, number of calls done. We started measuring leading indicators. Very hard to measure in the early stages, okay? Like, don't try putting instrumentation over it. Even today, we suffer with instrumentation for it. Don't do it. Like, easiest way to go to do it is just look at emails. Make sure the SDRs are sitting next to you. And in the early stages, that's all you really need. Look at the leading indicators for it right now. And I also looked at LinkedIn page views. That's another thing, right? Like how many folks came and viewed my LinkedIn page because it was literally like this Siddharth, right? It was not 4 SDRs. So Siddharth used to reach out. What is the reply rate from there? And then who looked at, like from that email, they came and looked at the profile. I used to like hit them up again. Like my job 24/7 was just to look at LinkedIn. But those, when it dropped or when it scaled up, it used to always be a function of the leading indicator and funnel. Yeah.
You mentioned you weren't building in the initial team, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You also had customers.
Yeah.
So what were you selling?
Yeah. So me. Honestly, right? So actually, like you can ask Manoj right there. He was one of our first customers. And the goal was that at that point they just want a problem to be solved. How the problem gets solved honestly becomes irrelevant at some scale, right? Until and unless you are like solving something deeply technical and you really need something. At least for the problem that we were solving for, what we realized is what's more important is distribution rather than product. So we made a very conscious call to say, let's focus on distribution, figure out how to acquire these customers on a repeated basis, and then the product can always follow through. So we had mock-ups, obviously, we did all of that, but like we were selling the mock-ups, right? Like we were selling the mock-ups and we were selling, it was my expertise that we were selling in the early days thing. And I still think it's something that honestly I think more companies should do, is actually sell first and then build, right? Like don't, because you make a mistake, you have no idea what you're building because you don't have customers. So what's the point over there?
The first point, which is continuously refine your ICP.
Yeah.
Can you please talk through like how did you guys do that? At what stage? What happened?
Yeah.
When did, like just talk a little bit about
Yeah, like it's happening even today. It's not going to stop. It's going to get even more refined every single point. So I'll tell you like very simple example, right? Like we said it's going to be 50 plus employees or 60 plus employees was our first ICP, right? Then what we realized is 60 in North America, SaaS spend per employee is about $7,500. In the UK, it's about $4,500. In Asia, it's about $1,000 or something, right? So if you look at that, it's not a standard ICP across markets. But we only learned this after talking to customers, right? Like when we started things. So first initial ICP, we sold to some customers who were like, okay, great, like I have SaaS spend of like 350K, 400K, whatever, but they had bloated employee strength of 300, 400. That wasn't a fit because their goal was always to spend money on people, not on SaaS tools. So that was on refinement. So that refinement, what it actually told us was to not sell in Asia. That was what the instinct was telling us, right? My gut was telling me not to do it, but we still did it, right? And so then we refined it. Now we don't as much, right? So we said, okay, then the employee count, SaaS spend per employee, number of SaaS tools, like we just kept adding the filters, the advanced, like more and more advanced and more advanced as we go through. But you learn only by making that mistake. It's not going to happen otherwise.
So the process is reach out, talk to as many of them, get the input, and then keep refining.
And then when you do, like, I don't know about, it depends on the type of business, right? Like if you're an inbound business and you have people signing up and you have like a bunch of that happening, then you need to start looking at data. For us, it is still outbound, so we could still talk to the customers to learn this. But now we're at a stage where I can't necessarily talk to like all the customers to make this decision. So now we look at data. So now we look at, hey, okay, this is what it looks like, SaaS spend, this is what it looks like, the region-wise. We start like looking at data to filter ICP as well now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How important is ACV at early stages?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. If anything of value, especially if you're selling it, again, like see, I'll caveat it. In North America, it doesn't matter, right? In India, you could be selling something specific that's for the APAC region or something, but like it doesn't really matter in the early days. It's like how do you get value from the customer? You can always move ACV up, right? And you can keep moving it up, but you can't move it down, right? Like that's something that you're thinking. So it doesn't necessarily matter all that much. Yeah.
From initial set of customers like who are trying out the software to like paid customers, how is the journey?
No, so we didn't have any trial. We always charged upfront. Yeah.
So when screens were shown or like ready,
Yeah, we charged. Yeah. Don't never charge. Like because the problem is that it's perceived value. It's not actual value, right? So then what do you actually, and you, after a point, this is also mentality, right? The customer also will give up because he's not spending any dollars on it. So he's not going to put as much effort into onboarding. He's not going to put as much effort into making it successful. Like even after he pays you, he has to put in effort, right? And we see that happening even after he pays, right? So imagine if he doesn't even pay, like, it's not going to happen. So I don't believe in free trials at all. Yes, okay, done. Thank you.